this video, I'm going to talk about calculating the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation. If you look at this column here, the first column, the count, that's the number of observations we have. And then column B is the actual observations. In column C, I'm going to talk about the deviation about the mean and how to calculate that. And then the deviation about the mean squared, which is column D. So the very first thing we want to calculate is the mean, and to do that we sum up the value of all the observations, or this column right here. So to do that in Microsoft Excel, you hit equal, type the word sum, the open parentheses, click on 10, drag down, and close parentheses, and hit enter. And that's 66. Next we want to do the count. The number of observations, obviously it's 8, but I'll show you how to do this in Microsoft Excel in case you have more than 8 observations, or a large number of observations. Hit equal, count, open parentheses, click on 10 again, and drag down, close parentheses. Now the mean is simply the sum divided by the number of observations. In this case it's 8. So the mean is 8.25. The variance is a little bit more complicated with the standard deviation, so we have to do a couple things. The first thing we have to do is calculate the deviation about the mean, which we take the observation less the mean. Now if we type in a $sign before the B and after the B, it holds that cell or that reference constant, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. Hit enter. And now we can just click and wait, move your hand over until it turns to a plus sign and drag down, click and drag. Now each of these observations has B4, which is this observation, is less the mean, which is B13, and that's true of all the observations. So it's B9 minus B13 on all of them. Now if we sum up all these values, we can do that by doing the equal sign and typing the word sum is one way. Or what we can do is click on, because we know this 66 is some value, some calculation too. We can click on it, wait till it turns to a plus sign, click, drag to the right, and it takes that same sum, and that all adds up to 0. Now x minus the mean squared, we just take the value and we hit equal sign, click on the value in C3, type the little hat, which is the value above 6, so you hit shift and the little hat, and 2, which means we're going to square it. Drag down all the calculations, and again we want to take the sum, so we're going to take the sum of that column as well. We take a count, which again is going to be the number of observations, or we can just take this value over if we wanted to. So let's do that. So let's just do this. So we have 8 as the values of all the columns. Now the variance is the deviation about the mean squared minus, actually, divided by the number of observations minus 1. And the standard deviation is just the square root of that number there. So we hit an equal sign, click on that number, we do the little hat thing above the 6, and this time we type in 0.5, which means the square root of, or the number raised to the half power, which is the same thing as taking a square root, and hit enter. So the standard deviation of this here is 1.16. The variance is 1.35. The mean is 8.25, and the number of observations is 8.